For bird cages.
Senator Bayh, it was reported today in Indianapolis that you're spearheading an attempt to oust Gordon St. Angelo as state chairman, and that Matthew Welch, Dick Stein, and Manfred Corr have all been offered the Democratic State Chairmanship. Would you care to comment on the report, please?
Well, was anybody else that was offered?
This was in
Sounds to me
Indianapolis
like
news.
just about everybody's been offered it. There's been a considerable amount of concern relative to the differences of opinion which exist in our party, and I think several party leaders are concerned about finding a way to patch up these differences and shore them over if possible. I don't know whether that's going to be possible or not. I have absolutely nothing personal against present leaders of our party. I'd like to see us be in a position to win the next election. I think it's very important. I think we have men like Phil Sharp here, who was just nominated for Congress in this district. We have others that are seeking nomination. Will be on the ticket that can provide the type of leadership that's important. I don't know of any big cabal that's going on. I'm not familiar with that article. I was very much disturbed by an article that appeared last Sunday, I think, which inferred that I was involved in some big cabal to decide who the governor was going to be in 1972. I have my hands full being a United States Senator without getting involved in trying to determine who's going to be governor of Indiana. From a standpoint of leadership within the party, I think it's important that we have as little dissension as we can within the party. Now, knowing the Democratic Party, as I think you must, we seem to take great delight in concentrating on our differences of opinion. I hope that whatever differences of opinion exist now will be short-lived and we can get along with the job of unifying the party. There have been some very unkind things said about and between various party officials. I do not care to join in this in any way, shape, or form.
Would you prefer to have...
I really am not in a position to say. I don't have a vote on that state committee. The determination will be made by the state committee, and whoever they choose, the majority vote, will be the state chairman. If it's Mr. St. Angelo, I'll work with him.
Of course, you've got a lot of influence, though, with the individuals on the committee.
Well, the question is, I've had people say this, that you have a lot of influence. Well, you have a lot of influence until you try to use it, and then you find out that you may or you may not have influence. And there has been, and I think anyone who has been observant and has listened and has read some of the stories realize that there have been some very harsh things said. There have been groups formed to try to accomplish this or that, to try to have a purge and all this type of thing. I have not participated. I have specifically really ordered all of my very faithful, energetic staff employees to stay out of this type of thing, that if there are differences within the Democratic Party, I don't want them, don't want our dirty linen washed in public. I'd like to see us put aside our differences. I think we have a very important election in 1970. And I'm hopeful that whatever the results of the party nomination and the party organization will be, I guess that's a week from Saturday, that I'm hopeful that everybody will get behind whoever is chosen and work to support party unity. I pledge myself in advance to that, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, whether there's going to be a confrontation or not when it gets right down to it. Well, I'm deeply disturbed about the type of action-reaction, violence, repression, escalation right up the ladder of hate that we've been going through. I personally share the deep concern that many students have, and many adults have, about the president's new policy in Cambodia. I've been very patient as a Democratic senator the last year and a half, in which, 15 months, in which, although I haven't totally agreed with what the president has done, I've suggested at least we're moving in the right direction to disengage. I just can't understand the rationale behind a policy on one side of which we are Vietnamizing the war in Vietnam and Americanizing the war in Cambodia. It seems to be totally inconsistent, and the fact that the people are told conflicting things almost in adjoining weeks has a very demoralizing effect. Let me say in addition, and I think this is important, that although I share this concern about what I think is really folly of going into Cambodia, we really are now following a policy in Cambodia which has failed for 3 or 4 years in Vietnam. And I don't like this policy, and I understand how people can be concerned, but I think it's absolutely imperative to say to the young people that I have a great deal of faith in, to say to the young people that the way to change this, the way to see that this policy is changed, is to express yourself and work within the system and not become radicalized and take to the streets and participate in violence. The deepest concern I have is that this type of violence will lead to repression, which will take away some of our very basic freedoms, and we won't even know what's happening. We'll find ourselves in a police state. And I don't want this to happen in the United States.
Senator, you say
we've lost more than 40,000 American lives, and I began to lose patience back in 1968 when I went to Vietnam and spent 3 weeks tramping around over the countryside there. And I did not take the VIP tour, but got out into the boondocks and talked to the privates as well as the generals. And went to Thailand and Indonesia to try to get a broader perspective of what this meant. And I came back with a real feeling that we were just trying to accomplish something that could not be accomplished the way we were going about it. There are limits to our ability to affect what happens in other parts of the world. We cannot look into our teacup and wish that something would happen and have it happen. And it seems to me that the degree